Hey YouTube, it's Aiden, Burgerbob, whatever you want to call me. Back for my second part of low range on bass trombone, whatever you want to call it. It's also weekly number 11 or something. I lose track. I have to look at my YouTube videos every time I do this. Anyway, that was a little bit of Bordoni number 2 out of the Mulcahy. Right? He's the one who did this? Oh no. Yes, Michael Mulcahy edition. The back page is missing from mine, but this is what it looks like. It's better than the standard Roche ones, because Roche is not the guy who wrote them. And they've got better edits and stuff, and it's all 3 books in one. That was number 2. That's a pretty popular one. I know Charlie Vernon likes to play that. Just totally forgot his name, the guy in Philadelphia. Bollinger likes to play that. Bollinger likes to play that. It's pretty popular. So, my second part today is music in the low range. And some of my previous videos, a bunch of exercises you can use to like kind of open things up, get used to playing down low. But the next part, or maybe even the first part, depends on how you want to go about it, is playing music in the low range. And you can play notes all day down low, and you won't really get how hard it is or get better at it until you play music in the low range. And this isn't super low, goes down to C, goes down to C, goes down just to C, I guess. A bunch of times. Number 2 is pretty high. Huh. I mean, it's not super low, but it gets into that trigger range and you kind of stay there for a long time. Lots of notes in like the same partial. And it sucks. I mean, it's really hard. That probably didn't sound super stellar. I don't know how it sounded, but I recorded it earlier and I wasn't super happy with it. And of course, that's just the first opening phrase, basically, which is easier than the rest. So you'll understand why it sucks when you start practicing it. So that's my first example, Bordoni number 2. It's really good to work just like long phrases, especially legato phrases in the lower register, because that's the hardest stuff. I mean, I play the first 4 measures in one breath, which I used to not be able to do. I can do it now. And then I had to take a breath in the middle of the second phrase, second 4 measures, because I can't get a large enough breath in that 8th note between them. I mean, people can probably do that. I can't at the moment. And if I practiced, I probably could. So, one thing and this is an example, one thing I do a lot is just play Bordoni's down an octave. And that's super easy. Hopefully you can just read down an octave. You don't need to have it written down an octave. As a bass trombonist and as just a brass player in general, it's good to be able to just read different octaves while reading the same part. You should be able to do that just like that. And there are different versions for bass trombone and stuff. They're down a 4th, and there's a tuba one that's down an octave, but I'll just get the trombone one because you're going to need it anyway. So one thing, working legato, long phrases, that stuff's really hard. I didn't play the hard stuff, so you'll get into it yourself. And the next thing I have, I'm going to stand in Arban's. I have syncopation exercise number 8. I'm playing out of the Mantia edition. This is really old. I don't even know if they make this anymore. There's newer ones, so this might not even be in the book, or it's on a completely different page. This is on page 31 in my edition. And it's just the 8th syncopation thing. These are pretty cake, in the original octave. They're not super hard, and they're not super hard down octave because this only goes down to C, and it only does it like once. But it's just good for getting an idea of phrase, of like melody and stuff with articulations that the Roche doesn't really get across. I'll just play half of it. That just gives you a little idea. They're nice and short. There's nothing like super long about them. They're not really rangy or anything. Some of them get hard with dotted rhythms and stuff, but that's just really good to just get your articulations going. And if you have troubles with that, and I No, I do. Use the Solomon exercise I referenced in the last video. That has done wonders for me. I've been doing it every day, and I can get down to pedal F now, and I can only get down to like A flat when I started it a week ago. So check that out. Oh yeah, I was gonna do this again. So, that sounds all right. I didn't practice it a whole lot. It doesn't sound super musical or anything. But what you get once you get to a certain level, especially on bass trombone, you need to be able to play the same kind of stuff down 2 octaves. So I'll play most of this. Let's see if this happens. I played this a while ago and it sounded fine, but we'll see. I'll play the same thing down 2 octaves. Not remembering positions. Woo! Okay, so that does not sound nearly as good, of course, because that is basically on the fringes of the range of the instrument. But you need to be able to play just crazy register stuff like that. And I know it sucks. I mean, I can barely pull that off, and that's just an easy little etude in Arban's. But you need to be able to play that kind of stuff. I also do like row shoes and stuff down 2 octaves. That stuff's even harder because you're playing longer phrases. You don't get to take breaths in between every note like I was doing there, basically. You're taking them like every 2 notes. And there's like no way to make a real line. But that's kind of that's the fun of it, is you make a real line out of just this terrible range on the instrument. So hard. It's fun. Another thing I've done is played the Bach cello suites down 2 octaves. Those are a little more manageable for whatever reason, even though there's like no rests. And then I wanted to say, is my last little thing here, since I don't have much for today. 1, give me suggestions, and 2, of course I'm talking about low range in the last 2 videos. Never neglect the high range. So, you can play these in like tenor clef and stuff like that. I'm not super great at that, since I don't practice it very much, but play stuff like this. This is Bordoni 2. That wasn't perfect either. Had a little bit of double buzz and stuff, but you need to play high stuff too, especially on tenor, of course. Gotta play high. That was it goes up to high C right there. It goes up to E. It goes up to like, I don't know. I guess it only goes up. Oh, it goes up to A. If you can play double A, then you can play this all up an octave. I don't think I could. But also you need to play this stuff on bass trombone if you play bass, because there's plenty of extra stuff. They go up to C. They go up to B. You need to be able to play high on everything. So don't neglect. Always flip-flop. Do both. Alright guys, I'll see you next week. Give me suggestions, and I hope this video helped you out.